All right, ladies, we are going to begin. Hopefully some stragglers will be coming in, but thank you so much for coming tonight. I am so excited to share this information with you. This is a complete game changer for me, and it has been, and I am so excited to share all this information with you. So stay tuned. Lots of information, and I'll be giving 2 giveaways at the end, and I will be live answering your questions as well. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started to talk about what in the world are we going to even be talking about and what will you be learning. So tons of information, how to adopt a mindset without relying on the numbers, the tactics I use to transition from being a calorie counter, completely obsessed, to an intuitive eater and what that even means, the most efficient fat burning workouts for busy moms, the tools I've used to help my clients lose fat. That's the big thing. And then the top 5 tips for living a fat loss lifestyle as a busy mom. So that being said, tons of information with you, and I'm going to go somewhat quickly. What I want you to do is pick one thing that you are going to start tomorrow. So I totally believe in the power of one. I believe in making small changes so that you're successful. So during the training, if you're taking notes, pick one thing out that you are going to start tomorrow, because I'm going to give you tons of things that are easy to implement that you can start. But I just want you to pick one so that you will leave here with that you've learned something and you're ready to start. For your questions, I know you're going to have tons of questions, which is completely awesome. So during the training, if you do have questions, if you could just write them in the chat box to your right, and I will answer all of them at the end of the training. So make sure you're staying on so I can answer them. But as you think of them, just go ahead and jot them in the chat box and know that I will be answering them at the end. And then, of course, stay tuned for 2 amazing giveaways at the end. So we're talking about 5 ways to lose fat without counting. And of course, my number 1 is the scale, because I am one of those people who does not believe in the scale. And why is that? So the scale measures more than fat loss. The scale measures water, fat, and muscle. So when you step on the scale, you really have no idea what you're actually losing. It could be water, it could be muscle, it could be fat. You really don't know, because the scale doesn't differentiate between those things. So by guiding this process on your scale alone, you're playing a mind game. Honestly, because how many times have you stepped on the scale and you've been super excited, right? We're always upset. It's not moving fast enough, it's not moving. You hoped it would move faster because you're doing everything right. So it's a complete mind game, and that is the main reason why I do not believe in the scale. So I'm going to encourage you to step off the scale. So have you ever weighed yourself, a few days apart, and one day you're one weight and the next day you're 5 pounds heavier? I totally have, right? So the scale, it just doesn't tell you, because you didn't gain 5 pounds in 3 days. It's not possible. So just for example, a client of mine in the Healthy Mom Lifestylers Club went on vacation and admittedly had some drinks, had some ice cream. That's just what we do in the club, because we believe in moderation, because you have to be able to live a lifestyle that keeps you sane and keeps you happy. So she's gone for a week, comes back and gets on the scale. Not sure why, but she did. And it was up 6 pounds. So of course she's freaking out, because how could she gain 6 pounds in a week? So of course I gave her some tips. Focus on water, protein, patience, get a good workout in. And what do you know? She got on the scale on Wednesday. So this is Monday to Wednesday, and it was gone, all of it. So that alone tells you it was not fat, it was just bloat. Because when we're used to eating a certain way and then we get on and we're just like completely bloated, of course the scale is going to move. I mean, have you ever had Chinese food and gotten on the scale? Sodium is going to bloat you up. So many women are actually losing fat, but because the number on the scale isn't moving, they're upset, they get defeated, and what do? They throw away the plan. They hate it because it's not moving, and so they feel like, well, that's my progress. And so the message that I want to drive home to you is that you can lose fat without a change in the scale, because when we're losing fat, we're also changing the shape of our body. And so with that comes muscle. And so when we're losing fat, we're not just depleting, cutting carbs and losing a bunch of water. You actually can lose fat without a change on the scale. So how do you measure fat loss then if you don't use the scale? Some ways to measure fat loss, and my 4 favorite ways are pictures, a measuring tape. I recommend hips, waist, and chest, clothes, and how you feel. You will know if you are losing fat. You can tell in a picture that you feel better, that you look better. Your clothes will be looser when you're losing inches, and that's what the measuring tape is for, is to kind of tell us if you're losing fat, gauge on those inches. Fat loss is about changing the shape of your body. It is not about a number going down. So when we get that in our head, that it doesn't matter what the number says, we start to trust the process and start to relax a little bit, and with that comes fat loss. And so what I like to focus on are non-scale victories. And here are just a few from the Healthy Mom Lifestylers Club, talking about letting go of the numbers, feeling free. And I can tell you it is a freeing thing when you let go of the numbers, because you are no longer way down. I mean, I don't know about you, but I used to get up in the morning and feel really good, get on the scale, and it didn't move. And then what? I go to the fat side of my closet, I put on the jeans because, I can't go to the other side because I'm all stressed out now. And while I was doing everything right, nothing was moving. And so then what? I have a bad day, right? And how could we ever let a number determine whether we're happy or sad? So, so it is just absolutely freeing. So really quick in the chat box, I know a lot of you, I see a lot of you are saying yes, and you have not been on a scale and you totally agree with this. If you could just give me a yes for saying goodbye to this scale. Awesome. Haven't owned a scale since her first child. Perfect. Love it. All right, so now we're going to go to our second way of losing fat without the numbers. And this is a huge one because I used to be a calorie counter, and I know a lot of us are calorie counters. But the truth is, you can lose fat without counting calories. And I know it's so scary because you're like, oh my gosh, what if I eat too many? What if I'm not eating enough? But the truth is, you really can, because what really matters for fat loss are all of these things: hormones, sleep, stress, lifestyle, exercise, and diet. So when it comes down to fat loss, not weight loss, but fat loss, all of these things play a factor in if you are going to lose fat. So it definitely depends on what you eat. There's no doubt. But it also depends on your hormones. Your hormones, especially as women, that is huge for us. I mean, if we've had babies, if we're breastfeeding, if we're nursing, if we're over-exercising, all of those things play such an important role in our fat loss. And sleep. I mean, I know none of us are probably sleeping a lot. So, but that's definitely something that we work with. Dr. Jade Teta from Metabolic Effects always says you can eat yourself fat or you can stress yourself there. And that is so huge because I think as women, we hold a lot of stress. We run the family. We're busy moms. And there's no doubt we have a lot of stress. So taking time to de-stress and actually finding time for ourselves really contributes to moving along with fat loss. When you focus on eating fat loss foods, you actually are eating in a calorie deficit. So what does that even mean? So a fat loss food is a food that is high in protein and high in fiber. And when you focus on those, the calories likely take care of themselves. You really can't overeat chicken. I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't overeat chicken or broccoli. I mean, a cup of broccoli and I'm good. I don't want to just keep going after the broccoli. So that's why we call those fat loss foods. They don't really have a high reward, but they do fill us up. They keep us satiated, and those are why that's what a fat loss food is. So how do you move from a calorie counter to an intuitive eater, and what in the world is an intuitive eater? So in my coaching club, we track for fat loss. And what that means is we track our HEC. So metabolic effect calls this HEC, and that means hunger, energy, and cravings. And those are the three main things that we check. And the reason is because those are biofeedback tools. That is our body's way of telling us, I'm starving, I'm tired, I'm craving. And those are our hormones talking to us. And you cannot maintain or sustain anything if you are not intuitively eating. Because if you're just sticking to your 1,200 calorie meal plan, but you're starving and you're tired, how long is it going to last, right? Am I onto something? So intuitive eating means you just listen to these biofeedback tools rather than listening to a meal plan that you got off the internet or that someone gave to you. And that is why I don't do meal plans, because what works for me might not work for you and might not work for your neighbor. So while your neighbor's over here losing 50 pounds on the greatest meal plan that's ever come out, it might work for you short term, but will it work for you long term? So I always ask, can I do this for life? Do I want to do this for life? Do I want to stand and prep my food? Do I want to eat grilled chicken and broccoli my whole life? No thanks. I don't think so. So that's why the calories, it just takes care of himself. And so think back to, when you were on a super strict diet and you were, eating 1,200 calories and nothing's happening. You're not losing any fat, and you're not feeling any better. Maybe you've even gained weight. I know I have. And that's because your hormones and your metabolism play such a huge role in fat loss. It's not just about the calories. So when we get into the mode of eating less and exercising more, we lose short term, but you can get into metabolic resistance, metabolic damage, and metabolic compensation, and those take years to get out of. Believe me, I was there. It took me 3 years to get out of because I was so strict on my calories that I was in that eating less and exercising more. And Dr. Jade also says that 95% of people, get this, 95% of people who go on diets regain the weight, and 66% of the people are fatter than when they started. That is crazy, right? So I know everyone was on the big Atkins, right, where you're like cutting carbs like crazy, and then what happened to everybody that did Atkins strict? They all gained it back, right? Because when you cut something completely, you're going to bloat. Your body doesn't know what to do when you start eating again. So that's just kind of how the calorie works. It's that cycle that we get into. We keep pushing our metabolism, and then we end up with things like thyroid disorders, autoimmune disorders. And it's not that you just all of a sudden woke up one day with a thyroid disorder. It's that all of the years of dieting, the yo-yo dieting, the cutting the calories, the strict dieting have caught up to you. And so that's our answer today is we just say, oh, you must have a thyroid disorder. It's not, oh, you spent years yo-yo dieting, and so it's caught up with you. So let's move on to number 3. I see some of you are saying no more scale, and meal plans are awful, which is perfect. So let's move on to minutes of exercise. And I was about as hardcore as you could get when it comes to exercise. And I'm going to show you a picture in a little bit of when I was doing, 2+ hours of exercise. So fat loss exercise is not about time. In fact, you should be able to do as little cardio as possible. And I know you're probably thinking, what? Little cardio? Unless you enjoy pedaling on the elliptical and going nowhere. Yeah, that's really true. So with my coaching club, I do not really let them do a lot of cardio. I give them optional cardio, that's 20 minutes or under, but for the most part, I recommend walking. And we'll get into why I recommend walking in a little bit. But unless you just love cardio or you're training for an event, you really shouldn't be just pedaling away on the elliptical. And if you do, just be mindful of what it's doing to you. When we look at exercise, there's 3 types of exercise. There's cardio, running, biking, and honestly, you could lose weight doing cardio. But here's the thing. You've got weights. And why do I recommend weights? Because they change the shape of your body. So while you're losing fat, you are changing the shape. And I'm going to show you a picture here of how my body has changed completely shape. And then there's fun exercise. Zumba, hanging out with the family, bike rides, hiking, all of that is fun exercise, and those are fabulous. So when I trained for a marathon, I gained 10 pounds, and I was running 30, 40 miles a week, and I was the heaviest I've ever been at the starting line of that marathon. I had injuries, I was tired, I was hungry, I was bloated, I was so puffy because my body was so stressed out from all the exercise that I was doing. I was just wasting away my muscle. And sure, I could have eaten more, but would that really have done it with all of the cardio I was doing? I was just stressing my body out. So when we talk about fat loss exercise, it is not about time, because I don't know about you, I don't have hours to spend at the gym, and who wants to go there anyway? I mean, they're dirty, and we don't want to put our kids in the dirty daycare. You don't need a certain amount of minutes to lose fat. That is a myth. So if you have 10 minutes, you make the most out of that 10 minutes. And that's kind of what it's all about. It's making the most of the time that you do have. Because I think time is one of those things as moms we struggle with. You know, we don't have time. How do we fit it in? And the key is to create that time. So if you've got 10 minutes, you make the most of the 10 minutes. And that's what I give in the Healthy Mom Lifestylers Club. I give them 10-minute bodyweight workouts so that if they get home after a long day, they don't have to go to the gym. They can go in their living room, get some 10 minutes done, and be over it. Because you can and you will lose fat doing less steady state cardio, which is treadmill, elliptical. And with that, the best types of exercise for fat loss, I've already mentioned, high intensity, short duration. Those are sprints. So those are things like, 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. So I give, in the club, I give you some examples of sprints. You can find a hill in your neighborhood and run up as fast as you can and then walk down. That's a sprint. That's a short duration. Short duration, high intensity exercise, and strength training. I like to say metabolic conditioning. Those are kind of like circuits where you're moving through your weight exercises faster so that you get that cardio effect. You're getting breathless, you're getting burning, but you also get an afterburn long after the workout is over. So both of these are less time and they're more fat burning. So both sprints and strength training give you an afterburn that lasts 24 to 48 hours after your workout's over. I don't know about you, but I would love to burn fat for a day after, right? You get on the treadmill and you run at 6.0, a 10-minute mile. The minute you press stop, done. You're not burning any more fat. Yeah, you may have burned more calories during it, and you may feel sweaty, which makes you feel like you're hardcore, but you're not burning any more fat. And then with cardio, it gets your the hunger, energy, and cravings completely out of whack. When I was training for that marathon, I was so hungry and I was so tired. And I was craving everything crunchy in my way. That's all I wanted. So, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on with exercise is look at the Europeans, okay? They eat less and they exercise less. And they are all really lean. They're really lean people. Because what do? They walk a lot. And that is one reason that we recommend walking. Leisure walking is fantastic because it is a stress reducer. It's a restorative exercise. It gets you outside, unplugged. It's something you can do with your family. But here's the kicker. When you walk after a strength training session, so in my club, I give a 10 or 20-minute weight training circuit, and I ask them to walk after, if they can. You are burning the fat that you just burned. You're burning that fat while you're walking. I mean, I don't know about you, but can you walk on a 3.0? I mean, that's like a leisure flip-flop walk with coffee. Sound good? Can we do that? All right. On to the fourth way. So number 4 is tracking and logging grams, ounces, food weighing, apps. Everything's out there, and some people will tell you that you must log your food, you must weigh your food. And I don't know about you, but as a busy mom, I don't have time to weigh my food or sit on my iPhone and track my food. It's super time consuming and super annoying, and I like to be able to have strategies that I can use when I go out to eat, when I go on vacation, and I don't want to have to carry my food scale with me. So tracking and logging, what do I mean by this? So I don't know, when you track everything you eat, maybe it's great for right now, but you become obsessive and you become in the dieter's mindset because all of a sudden you're going, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should eat this. Maybe I should log it. Was that 3 bites, or what should I do? Should I log it? What brand was it? And you start questioning what you're doing, and then you become obsessive and then you start to become a dieter, and that's not what we're after. We're after lifestyle. So you really cannot maintain and sustain a fat loss lifestyle if you're constantly weighing your food. I mean, this is real life stuff. So in my coaching club, I advise that they track for a few days. I give them a tracker, and what that does is that clues me in mainly to what they are or are not eating, but also their HEC, so the biofeedback tool. That's when I can see, oh, they're really hungry after lunch. Let me see what they're eating at lunch. And so that's where I can kind of tweak, because after all, we are after finding their fat loss formula. So Jade from Metabolic Effect always says, is your HEC in check? And that is awesome, because that's what that means. Because if your HEC is not in check, you will not sustain and maintain. You may do really well short term, because I've done that too, right? You do really good, but then what happens? Life gets in the way, holidays come, and all of a sudden your HEC is out of check and you're no longer losing fat. So I do not advocate, tracking or, logging long term, just because, we really don't have time and we don't want to start to become obsessive and start to overthink the process. But tracking does, for a few days, I can look at that and get a glimpse into your day. We can identify trigger foods, and we can kind of see, where to place certain things. Where should we place your carbs? Where should we place your protein? So it is helpful for a few days, but I definitely wouldn't recommend obsessing over an app, because after all, we are after moderation and balance. And so for the last reason, to lose fat without the numbers, and these are just some of the tools that I use with my clients, is to get rid of the deadline and the time frame. So fat loss does not happen in a certain amount of weeks or a certain amount of months. In fact, it happens differently with every single person, because we are all unique. We have a unique metabolism, and so when you let go of that expectation that you're going to lose fat in 3 months, you begin to just let go and trust the process, because there is no one-size-fits-all approach, and we are all unique. So while I have my fat loss formula, it might not be the same as Alex or Brooke's fat loss formula, because you guys are all different than I am. And so that's what we do, is we try to figure out your fat loss formula. And so if I was to say, you're going to get your fat loss formula in 4 weeks, I'm doing you a disservice. And any coach that tells you that is doing you a disservice, because when you have an expectation that you have to be a certain amount of, you have to lose fat in a certain amount of months, what happens? You begin to get defeated. You get pissed, right? You get pissed at the process because it's not working on your timeline. Just like if you follow a 12-week program, and then at the end of the 12 weeks, you're not where you wanted to be. Well, then what? Then what do, right? This is an ongoing thing. This is a process. And so while some might find their fat loss formula in a month or 2 months, some may take 6 months. It took me well over a year. But guess what? Here's the cool part. It might take a year. It might take even longer. But once you find it, you're done. You don't have to find another plan. You don't have to try a new workout or hire a new trainer or do a detox. You're done. Like, that's it. You are set. You know your fat loss formula. You take it with you wherever you go. I can go on vacation. I'm set. I can, have a really busy day and I'm still set, because I know what to do, whether I'm on the go or I'm at home or I'm having another baby, whatever it is, I'm set because I know exactly what I need to do. But that didn't happen in a month. And so, fitness doesn't have a deadline. Fat loss doesn't have a deadline. So all of these programs you see, 90 days to get slim and 21-day fix or whatever, great, but then what? My question is always, then what? Because what's going to happen when you stop, or when you plateau, or when life gets in the way, or the holidays? So that is always my question to you. So now we're going to go over my top 5 fat loss tips. And these are super important because it kind of sums up what I just went over for you. So you really can live a healthy mom lifestyle without numbers. It is really possible, and I'm going to show you how to do that. My first fat loss tip for you is The only plan that works is the one that is made for you. Like I said before, we each have a unique metabolism and a fat loss formula. So what works for your neighbor or your best friend or your mom or your sister isn't going to work for you. It may not, because we have to understand our body and what our body's been through. My body has been through years and years and years of super strict yo-yo dieting, deprivation, excessive exercise. That is very different than someone who comes to me who has never exercised before and who eats relatively healthy but just is at a plateau. So two very different scenarios. But the thing is when you take the time to understand your body and find your plan, you lose fat and it becomes effortless. So it's so important to take the time to know you, not the latest plan, the diet, the pill, the detox, whatever. It might work short term, but don't get caught up in that, because that is not what's going to work for life. And as a busy mom, we don't have time to just keep trying all these things, right? We're ready to get set and be done with this forever and stop thinking about it because we have other things to focus on. Fat loss tip number 2 is to track your HEC. And when I say HEC, I mean hunger, energy, and cravings, because we talked about these are biofeedback tools, right? They tell us what our body is feeling. Those are our hormones. They're like little messengers to our brain, and they tell us how we're feeling. And like Jade says, if your HEC is not in check, you will not maintain fat loss. Step 1 is always getting HEC in check. And HEC might take, a little bit to figure out, because I have to play around with where we're going to put food and what we're going to do and time some snacks. And we have to look at your day, and that doesn't happen tomorrow. But like I said, once HEC is in check, all of a sudden you're not thinking about your next meal. You're not prepping your food for hours. You're just living without stressing about, oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. Oh my gosh, I'm really hungry, but I shouldn't eat yet because I'm not supposed to. And my plan says I can't eat till 10. No more. So that is this. And then once your HEC is in check, perfect, then we track to see if you're losing fat. And then if you're doing both, we don't touch it. You found your fat loss formula. And then of course, once you lose the amount of fat you want to lose, we go into maintenance. And that's a whole nother webinar, I think. So fat loss tip number 3 is to track your fat loss, and not the scale, but to measure fat loss bi-weekly. And I always recommend on Friday mornings, because most of us, I'll say 99% of us, have a little bit different structure on the weekends. And so we might, eat a little bit different on the weekends. And so that could cause us to be a little bit more bloated, come the beginning of the week. And so give yourself a few days. Friday morning is perfect to check your measurements, see how you're doing, but don't do it more than bi-weekly, because it's just frustrating. But definitely track it, because if your HEC is in check, but you're not tracking your fat loss, then how do I know what to do, right? How do I know what to move and what to do with your day if I don't know if you're losing fat? Because that's what we have to do. Fat loss formula comes from HEC in check and losing fat. Fat loss tip number 4 is lower your stress. And I know easier said than done, right? But try to engage in some restorative activities. Walking, yoga, Tai Chi, schedule some downtime in your day, even if it's 10 minutes before bed, because rest is equally as important as intensity. And that took me a really long time to learn. I was super resistant to just walking. I was like, I'm not walking, I'm gonna run, because I'm a runner and running burns more calories and I like to sweat. But once I let go of that, I started walking, and now I look forward to those walks, something I can do with my family, and it's just something that fits into my lifestyle. I do very, very little cardio, but I do walk a lot, and yoga's on my to-do list. It's not something that I love, but I know it's something that is a really good thing for someone like me, and I think it's great for everyone, actually. So that's fat loss tip number 4, is to think of a way to lower your stress. That could be reading, a bath, whatever it is. Fat loss tip number 5, and this is a big one, and this is something I tell everybody, all of my clients in the coaching club, is to have patience, because finding your fat loss formula takes time, but losing fat without obsessing is so worth it, and I cannot tell you that enough, because fat loss can be effortless. It really can. You can really go about your day, not stress about what you're eating, feel good, and go to bed. Like, it really can happen. but it doesn't happen overnight. And so that is super, super important to remember, that your goal here is to be armed with strategies to find your fat loss formula so that it can be effortless. And while it may take a little bit more work short term, it is so worth it to just be free. Be free from the numbers, be free from stressing, be free from, your pants being too tight, all of those things that we deal with. It is so freeing to just know what you need to do. And so here is a transformation from someone in my coaching club. And this is a mom of two. And she talks about this revelation that she had, because this is, it's more than just how much fat she's lost, because she's definitely losing inches. But that's not really, while we focus on that, that's not the big picture. Because anyone, and I will tell you this, anyone can lose 10 pounds. You just eat less and exercise more. That's it. But what happens is what happens after that, right? It's not magic to lose 10 pounds. It's, can you sustain the lifestyle? Can you sustain and maintain it? So you can maintain when life happens because you know exactly what you need to do. You can maintain and sustain when holidays come because you know what you need to do. And it's not that we're super strict, because we're not. We drink wine and we eat chocolate, but we know that the next meal is right where we need to go. We don't have to go back on Monday or fall off a wagon to start over, right? So this is a completely new mindset for her, because she's changing from the inside. And when you change from the inside, everything else happens effortlessly. When you change from the inside, fat loss happens. She's become someone who went from an obsessive person to someone who's now intuitive, because she's saying that she's craving because she knows her heck is not in check, but she knows that can be fixed. And while she used to just beat herself up for lack of willpower and determination, she knows that's not true, because willpower is not something that we either have or we don't. We actually have to learn to have willpower. It's kind of like a skill that we have to learn. And so if we've been dieting and we're stressing over our food, no wonder we come home at night and we binge, right? We don't have anything left. We have no more mental energy to give. If we're stressing over, the number on the scale on Monday morning, of course we're going to have a bad day, right? Because we only have so much mental energy. And as a mom, we've got a whole family, we've got kids, we've got husbands, we've got all jobs, all of these things to take care of. And so fat loss can't take up 75%. It just can't. And so that's the goal, is to adopt a new mindset where we become intuitive eaters and we learn how to find our fat loss for life. So this is not your typical before and after picture, because I could give you pictures, but that's more of what you see on the internet. That's more of the fad thing to do, and that's not what we're about. We're about losing inches and losing fat, but this is the big picture. This is about creating a lifestyle where you can lose fat and still have a life. And so now I'm going to show you my picture. I posted this on the Mom Beyond Baby Facebook page today. And it's 3 pictures and 1 person. And these 3 pictures are all me. And the purpose of this collage is not to show you how I looked and not to get compliments about that I didn't look that bad before or anything like that. It has nothing to do with the look. It has to do with showing you the difference in what happens when you find your fat loss formula and you let go of the diets, the excessive exercise, the numbers, and the urgency to quickly lose weight. Because after the baby, I was, trying on my pants, nothing worked. I was crying. I'm never going to get back. But when I let go of the whole, I don't need to get back, let me just be patient with this, look what happened. So the picture on the left is me running a 15K in Tampa, Florida. I've run races since 2003, and that's me eating less, maybe 1,000 calories a day, doing at least, and I say at least, 2 hours a day of cardio, exercise, not really lifting much weights, but doing a lot of cardio, and completely obsessed with losing weight, like completely consumed. No life outside of work and working out and prepping my food and stressing about my food. The pic in the middle is me 41 weeks pregnant, and I weighed the same in that picture as I do in the picture on the left. So if that kind of gives you an idea, the last time I weighed was when I went into labor. So I've not been on a scale since then, but I felt amazing. I loved my bump. I just felt so amazing that I was able to grow a human, because the pic on the left, you know, had stressed my body so much. Who knew if I was ever going to be able to have a kid, right? Because my hormones were all over the place. So there I am. I feel amazing. So had a baby, and then the pic on the right is me now. That was taken actually today at the gym, a little selfie. I'm 14 months postpartum, but that's not the point. The point is that I feel better than I ever have in my whole life. Like ever in my whole life, because I have no clue what I weigh. I don't own a scale, and I refuse to step on one. I think they have like a note in my doctor's charts, like this girl doesn't go on. I don't know how many calories I eat. I don't weigh my food or track, you know, my grams or my ounces. I don't follow a diet or a plan, but I know exactly how my body loses fat, and I know exactly what I need to do. I have tons of energy throughout the day, and I feel really strong. I built a lot of muscle, but I just feel strong. Like I feel like I look like I work out, I can keep up with my toddler, and that's all that really matters to me, is that I can be a healthy and fit mom. I'm not in it for a bikini competition. I don't care about a six-pack. I've got cellulite, I have stretch marks, I've got loose skin. That doesn't really matter to me, because what matters to me is that I'm healthy and fit, and that I'm not wasting my day stressing about losing fat, because I don't want to do that. I want to play with my daughter. I want to work on my business. Those things are important to me, not stressing over, you know, I don't have my food. Is it prepped? I'm too fat. I can't go out. I can't take pictures. So because I'm a real person just like you, and I've been on many diets, and I'm actually a quite successful dieter because I was a really good student. Like you told me to do it, and I was doing it, right? I was like a super good student. I never cheated. But what happened when life got in the way, or I went on vacation, or honestly I just got really sick of grilled chicken, I gained it all back, plus some. Like I really did. And then I got back on the wagon, I went hardcore again, and then the cycle continued. Until one day I was completely over it. I mean, I was just over the plans, over the rules, over the mind games. And that's when I took time to understand my body, my fat loss formula, and I like broke free from this barrier that was weighing on my shoulders. And that is when I created Mom Beyond Baby and the Healthy Mom Lifestylers Club, because I feel like I need to help people, women, moms, find this freedom, the feeling of letting go and just being okay with right now. So yes, we have goals, and yes, we want to lose fat, but at some point we have to be okay with right now, because life is happening, right? Our kids are getting older, things are happening, and we're consumed with fat loss. That just doesn't make sense to me, right? We have to be okay with right now. We have to be happy now. And yes, we can work on our goals, but it can't be the one thing that consumes us. So with that being said, I have 2 giveaways for you tonight. And the first one is 10 fat loss friendly breakfasts. And that is because breakfast is a huge meal, right? It sets us up for our day. I know lots of moms, and there's even some in my club, that don't eat till noon. And then they're tired, they're craving, they're a mess. And of course, I always ask, did you eat breakfast? So I compiled 10 fat loss breakfasts for you, and they will be live for you after the webinar is over. So don't try to go now because they're not open. It is at shiranelson.com/fat loss breakfast, and that is all one word. So it is shiranelson.com/fat loss breakfast. So those are 10 free breakfasts for you. And research shows when we start out with a healthy breakfast, our whole day is better, right? Like our whole day. Those are there for you. So make sure you go after the webinar and claim those for you. So free download, 10 fat loss friendly breakfasts. And then the next opportunity is the Healthy Mom Lifestylers Club. So I'm super excited to share this with you because it's something that I feel like I need to give you. I feel like I have to share this with you because it has changed my life, and it's an opportunity to invest in yourself and find your fat loss formula. So I know tons of people have asked me, well, how do you find your fat loss formula? I want my formula. It doesn't happen with me just telling you. It happens with a coach, unfortunately, but I've made a special webinar enrollment price for you today, and I've put it on the screen for you to see, and it is at ShiraNelson.com/mom club. But here's the deal. It's been closed for 2 months, and I have a wait list of moms waiting to get in. So I wanted to extend this for you. So what is it? It's everything you need to find your fat loss formula. It's fat loss coaching, meal plans, workouts, but most importantly, it's a private group and community of busy moms for support and accountability. It's a coach by your side, and we're starting a Don't Sweat It Summer Challenge, which is basically an accountability challenge where I picked out the big rocks of fat loss for you, so that you are not depriving, you're not stressing, you just do what I'm telling you to do so that you can enjoy your summer and lose fat. So this is a unique URL only for you to lock yourself. No contracts, you stay as long as you need. I am not a believer in that you always need a coach. I believe that you need a coach to help you along the way, and then you don't need a coach anymore. So I would not be a good coach if I told you that you constantly needed to be, have a coach, because that is not true. But this is really bigger than fat loss and workouts and plans. It's really for busy moms who want something, but they're not sure how to get there. And I've had a lot of questions about how to find your formula, and I see some of them on the chat box. And it's not something that I can just tell you, because my formula, like I said, is different than yours. But it's not something that you'll never find, because I promise you, you will find it. This club is for people who need support and accountability along the way. I don't know about you, but it's just not as fun to do it alone. It's more fun to be in a group of moms who get you, who understand when the baby's up all night or you have a sick baby. Like, they get it. So together we support, we vent, we ask questions, but most importantly, we share successes, because we're all in this together. So we all have a goal to lose fat, but more importantly, we're all in it because we want to find that lifestyle, the one that we can sustain and maintain. So tonight, that link is up for you for a 35% discount. It will be live for 24 hours, and then I will close it down. And then the club will close again until after Labor Day. So something to think about. I'm going to open it up now to questions from you. So I'm going to go through the chat box, and if you have any other questions, add those on there so that I can answer your questions. And if you feel like, man, I had a question, I should have asked her, feel free to email me at info@ShiraNelson.com, and I will so answer your questions. I am here for you. I am a mom just like you, and I've been there. Like, I've been on the diets, I've been big, I've been, I've been there. I get it. With that being said, I'm going to answer your questions. So Desiree said she needs some accountability. That is what we all need. So tired of grilled chicken. You need to let go, Alex. Yes, you do. You need to let go. Amy asked if carrying a baby counts as lifting weights. And I would say yes. That definitely counts, but when we lift weights, we want to get somewhat breathless. So there are things you can do with your baby that will help, but most of the things that I give you involve, some sort of just your body weight or resistance bands or dumbbells. But yes, of course that counts, right? Because we're carrying a baby all day long. Whitney asked if I'm a fan of CrossFit. Actually, I really do like CrossFit. I did CrossFit for a while, but my problem with CrossFit is I don't like to be tied to classes, which is funny because I teach fitness classes, but I like to have workouts that I can do at home if needed. But I definitely like CrossFit. I think it's a great thing, of course, with proper form. So yes, I do like it. I've never found one that has a daycare attached, so it doesn't work for me, but I definitely do like it. And Alex, yes, we can do Pilates as much as you want. So Alex said she was doing Monday mornings and she was irritated. Of course you were irritated because you were bloated from the weekend, right? Sandra asked, how do I figure out my fat loss formula? So kind of like I said, figuring out your fat loss formula takes time and patience, and it takes a coach. Unfortunately, it's not something that we just can read on the internet, or I can just tell you do blank, blank, and blank, because that would be me giving you a plan that might not work for you, and that's not what we're after. We're after sustainable lifestyle. Jessica asked, are you always in fat loss mode, and how does maintenance work? So basically, the fat loss is our goal at first, and then maintenance, definitely, maintenance would be different, just a little bit, just through tweaking with foods. we can get into, we can get into like an exercise more, eat more kind of model. Those all happen with maintenance. And then of course, once you lose the fat, you might want to build muscle, and that's a whole different ballgame, but that's definitely something that we work on. So yes, fat loss mode and maintenance mode are completely different, scenarios. I'm not in fat loss mode anymore. I'm in muscle building mode. So I time my foods a little bit differently based on that. Kelly says she had her fat loss formula, but now after baby number 2, things have changed. And that is something I hear all the time, Kelly, because baby number 2 is a huge deal breaker for us hormonally, and depending on how much weight we've gained. And of course, all of a sudden we have 2 and we don't have near as much time. So for sure, baby number 2 can play a huge factor. Sarah asked, does all the advice work for someone with a good bit of weight to lose? Absolutely. No, it is not more for people who want to tone and lower their body fat percentage. Absolutely not. It is, I would say this is a fantastic place for someone who has a lot of weight to lose, because you're doing it the right way. You're not doing a drastic diet type of a thing. Alex asked, in many workout plans or diets, does your body plateau? Does that still happen? Just have a reasonable expectation of what to look for. So absolutely, your body can plateau. Usually when you are feeding your body properly and you're focusing on your HEC, it usually doesn't, but very simple tweaks that we can change. And of course, it takes patience. But yes, you definitely can plateau, but that's what finding your fat loss formula. When I plateau, I know what I need to do. I know where I need to move my carbs, or if I need to add a walk in. So those are things that I teach you on how to do. Let's see, any other questions? Is it okay to weigh yourself on occasion? Absolutely. If you are not, if you're a person that's okay with the scale, for sure, you can do that. I would say no more than biweekly. If you just want to monitor, I would say biweekly would be my recommendation if you feel like it is, if it's okay. Brooke, I hope your webinar got back. You said it was freezing, so I hope it's okay. Picture, Jessica, I'm not sure what that means. If you want to ask me again. Let's see. Nice job, Whitney is tracking her steps on her phone. Kelly can do 10 minutes. Yes. Whitney asks about her C-sections. She has a mother's apron. What are the best exercises to help get rid of that? Keeping in mind, sorry, this keeps going down. Muscle walls have separated, and I never regained feeling in my abdomen from the surgery. So for you, definitely not anything sit-up related. Sit-ups really don't do anything, so if you're doing them, you don't have to. So for you, we would definitely focus on weightlifting, and then, add in some high-intensity sprints would be fantastic for, your stomach area, depending on how far that was before. So I'm going to scroll back up and see if there's any other questions. Can you do this pregnant? Absolutely. Not really dieting? Absolutely. We eat with moderation. We do not diet at all. I was nursing throughout the whole time. I just stopped nursing at a year. So Fern asked, you eat a variety of foods? Absolutely. I'm kind of picky. I don't really like a lot of food. I mean, I do, but I don't really like to think about food. So I kind of eat the same types of stuff, but pretty much protein's an open game for me. So I allow all of my coaching girls to eat protein as much as they want. Veggies are kind of open. Based on your body type, your fruits, we kind of play around with it. But like I said, nothing's off limits. So you can have kind of whatever. It's just we have to moderate it. So can you do the same thing with older women whose metabolism has slowed down? Absolutely. So menopause is something that affects all women, and there's actually a protocol for that. So we can work with that, but definitely your muscles decrease, but we can focus on it by doing the strength training, lowering the stress, and of course fueling your body properly. She was going to wait till after the baby was weaned. Do you think that's realistic or an excuse? Should I jump in? Honestly, I think there's a myth between nursing and weight loss. I think you really can lose fat while you're nursing. There's a big myth that you have to eat all this extra food, kind of like when you're pregnant, and that is absolutely not true. So nursing really is about your hydration. And, you're going to see whatever, if you're into it 100%, you're going to see results. I'm here for you. I'm your coach 24/7. How many times do you get a coach that's there every single day to help you? Never, right? The breakfast link isn't working. Correct. It is not up yet. It will be after this. Can you send the links you were talking about? Yes, it is ShiraNelson.com. Oh, Alex got you. /fat loss breakfast, and then ShiraNelson.com /mom club. So those are the 2 links for you. So again, if you think of any other questions, feel free to email me at info@ShiraNelson.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. But thank you for being here. Thank you for spending your time, your night, learning with me, taking time out of your busy schedule. I am so honored that I got to share this information with you, and the recording will be coming out to you. And of course, if you have any questions or any concerns about the Healthy Mom Lifestylers Club, feel free to email me. Check out the link, ShiraNelson.com /mom club, and then be sure to claim your breakfast. Thanks so much for being here tonight, guys. Have a fantastic night.